Today, Avery and myself are going to take you guys through an NBA draft and teach you the strategies and how-tos to go through it and successfully draft a team. First, you'll see on my screen here that I'm on the dashboard. In order to get into a contest or invite a friend, you can either join from the lobby up here, or in my case right now, I'm going to create a contest with one of my buddies, and my buddy being Avery here. First, I'm going to go to the friend tab since I already have him on my friends list. If you don't have one of your friends on your friends list, all you'll need to do is go down here in the messenger and simply click here and type in the username and add them. Once you've done that, you go up here to create contest, friend right there, hit next, go ahead and find their username. Avery's is OB Chen, representing today. You go through next, you pick your sport, your parameters, your number of entrants, your entry fee, and all those good details. For the case of this draft, we're going to do an NBA contest, just Avery and I, so 2 people, and we're going to do it for OwnersBox, our virtual currency. You can name your draft to whatever you like and customize it with all your friends. For our draft, we're going to do a when filled draft, which basically means when all the contestants fill it, it starts right away. But if you'd like to schedule a draft, you can simply select a time and a date, and then choose it to your specialty. So we'll do when filled Avery here. I'm going to send this out. So basically here, this is your final screen to approve your contest. This format's a friend contest, NBA, 2 entrants, OwnersBox, and it's a when filled start time. So now that I'm happy with my parameters, I'm going to send it over to Avery. You'll now notice that a contest card has popped up in your upcoming contests. That means that I have sent out the contest and I am waiting for the users to fill it. As you guys can see, Avery has now accepted the invite and it says the draft is starting soon. Once Avery fills it, you'll notice a notification pop up saying your draft has now begun. At this point, you're able to enter the draft and go and start queuing up players and looking at who you want to draft for this contest. Here is your draft screen. So one thing I want to point out that's really important about our system is the games played metric. So for NBA's format, you get 2 players per position, 2 point guards, 2 shooting guards, 2 small forwards, 2 power forwards, and 2 centers. For each position, you're allowed 6 games per week. So you'll see here, like for point guards, some guys play, 4 games a week, some guys play 2, some guys play 3. It really depends on that week and when you're drafting. So just be conscious when you're selecting for positions, you want to get at least 6 games between the 2 players at each position. A little strategy that I like to deploy, and I know Avery, you could probably expand on this as well, is I like to overdraft my games for the week, just in case there's COVID or any sort of injuries that take place throughout the 7 days. I'm able to easily make up that extra game that player misses. So for me, I like to draft at least 7 or 8 games per position if I can, but I definitely want to, I wouldn't sacrifice a good player if he only had 2 games. I would definitely still take him. So it's kind of a middle ground between hitting your 6 games right here and drafting really talented players that you think will do well for that week. Avery, anything you'd like to chime into that?
No, I think that's good too. Just with the COVID situation this year, it is a little different, but overdrafting, there's never a problem with that. You get to choose which games your players play, and you can do that after. That's not a thing you need to worry about in the draft. You just need to worry about getting the best players most amount of games.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll show you guys, this is just the draft. And the cool thing about our format is these head-to-head contests, these drafts only take 4 to 5 minutes to complete. But we'll take you guys through how to set your lineup, how to bench players, and how to examine matchups after we go through the draft process.
And even you can be looking at the matchups as you're drafting as well. You go through the player screens, you click on the player names, you go to projection, or you go to the season scouting. You see who they're playing, you're seeing their projected points. So you can start early looking at who you want to play and looking at those matchups.
For sure. And you'll notice that I just pulled up a player card as Avery was describing that. So basically all the information you need to learn about your player that you want to draft is within this player card. So all you do is simply click on their name and it pops up their next game, who they're playing against, their projections for that week, and their schedule. The latest news, any injury updates, any player status changes, anything like that will appear here. And then their game log. This is one of my favorite parts of the platform when I'm looking at who to draft. You can expand it here, which is basically, it just shows their last 10 to 15 games that they've played. And you can easily see like, hey, Jokic here is doing well with points. He's doing one of the best in the system, averaging over 50 fantasy points in the last 3 games. You get a lot of detail in the game log here that helps you make your selections. So now that the draft is kicked off, Avery is the first pick. So Avery, talk us through what you're going to pick and who you like.
So I'm going Nikola Jokic. I think center is the most thin position in the NBA. For me, I like to pick one player at a position if we're going through a draft like this and then build from there. So I'm going to take the best player here. I think Jokic in a very thin center position is going to be my pick.
Yeah, and Jokic, just to describe the points, you get a point per point, fantasy point, and then you get a fantasy point per assist, a fantasy point per rebound, and then a fantasy point for plus minus, 2 for blocks and 2 for steals. So guys like Jokic, who gets assists, rebounds, points, those guys are very useful in this scenario. So I like to go with Avery's strategy as well and go for a big man early. And I'm going to take Joel Embiid, who has 4 games this week, which is awesome. So I'm definitely going to lean him early, take him there. And then for my next pick, I'm going to go with a guard. This point guard, shooting guard position is a little deeper, as Avery alluded to, but I do like my guy, Luka Doncic, who also has 4 games this week. One important thing I want to point out that Avery mentioned is for my strategy, and I'm not saying it's the best one, but I like to spread it out and pick one player that has lots of games and high projection at each position before I pick another player at that position. So you'll see me doing that throughout our drafts. There's definitely other ways to do it, but that's kind of what I found is a great strategy for these drafts.
So for my pick here, I'm going to go James Harden. I'm seeing Kevin Durant is inactive for the game that is tonight. So I just think James Harden's going to get a lot of points tonight in that one game, and I like him to get points for the rest of the week as well. 4 more game opportunities, so I'm taking James Harden. And then next, Sandy, I hate to do this to you. 4 more games this week for LeBron James, getting him at the 4 position. LeBron James is my next pick.
Yeah, and as Avery stole my guy, another cool thing, if that happens to you, you can actually chat. There's a full contest chat, kind of like your Facebook or LinkedIn style chat, where you can chirp everyone in the draft room. In our case, it's only a 2-person contest, so it's just Abe and I. But yeah, you can smack talk and engage with the community pretty easily just by the chat modal down here. For my next pick, I see Avery went shooting guard, small forward, center. I'm going to lean, I know there's a lot of injured guys right now. I'm going to go with a shooting guard for my next pick. And I'm going to take Zach Levine, who's been on an absolute tear lately, as you can see here, putting up 45, 24, and 44 in his last 3. So I'm going to lead Zach Levine on this pick here. And then for my next pick, I like to go with another big man. Giannis's red status. I don't know what that injury is, but it says he's inactive, so I'll probably stay away from him. I believe
Washington, COVID.
Yeah, so I'm going to stay away from him just in this contest for now. And I'm going to take Sabonis, who's been, as you can see, going off this season so far.
I said LeBron James was going to play the 4 position, but he's playing the 3 position in our system. That's my fault. I'll wear that one. Next, I still have point guard and power forward. I can sort by choosing both the point guard and power forward position in this player list. I'm going to go Steph Curry, 4 game opportunities, playing well. That's my next pick. Finally, power forward. I'm going to unclick the point guard position up in the right. So I'm just filtering by power forwards. I have to take Anthony Davis. I can't not take him.
I can't believe I passed up. As a Lakers fan, I'm shocked I passed up and took Sabonis, but I'm riding with my guy. Another cool thing is while you're in a draft lobby, all the players teams will be in the results tab here. So, this is my team, Brad of the King. You can see my roster, but I can also pop over to Avery's team at any point and see who he's picking. And that can kind of, I'll curve my strategy or adjust my strategy based off how he's drafting in a lot of our formats. So just you're able to easily see everyone's lineup, and I'm just going to pop back over to mine. You can see now that I'm looking to draft a small forward since I don't have one yet. And it looks like Kevin Durant he's not going to play today, so I might stay away from him. I'm going to go with my guy Kawhi Leonard, even though I'm a Lakers fan. Now that I've filled my positions, my one for each position, I'm going to go draft the next best available player. As I said earlier, I'm going to lean big man just because rebounds, assists, and points are very valuable if a guy does all 3. So I'm going to go with Nikola Vucevic. Vucevic. Can't pronounce it today, but that's the same thing. Yeah. And he's been great. Vucevic is a great guy. He does a lot. He rebounds, gets a ton of points, and steals, blocks, all that good stuff. So it really adds up over time.
Especially on a Magic team that's not that good. He gets a lot of that workload. So
yeah,
red status for two of these guys that I'm about to pick took Sandy away from taking both of these guys already in this draft. But based on their projections, what I've seen on their player card, they're going to play other games this week. So I'm going to fill my game opportunities here by taking Giannis and then taking Kevin Durant.
Wow. Now I'm sweating, Abe. You look at Abe's roster. I mean, he's got, even though they're red statuses, that just means they're inactive for today. So keep in mind, when you see red status and you're in the draft room, that might not mean the whole week. It might just mean for that day. So it's always good to click into their player card and see here that, yes, Giannis is projected 0 for Friday today. So he's not going to play today, but he's going to play Sunday as of now. So definitely look into that and make sure you're clicking into player cards to examine those details. My next pick, I am going to go with my guy, Zion Williamson, who has been playing amazing lately, putting up over 40 fantasy points in the last 4 almost, and 36 over his last 3. So I'm riding with him at the power forward position to round that out. For my next pick, I'm going to lean point guard. I think I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving. I know he's back. He's only played 1 game, but he went absolutely off with 46 fantasy points. I think he bounces. I mean, he continues to play like this. They took a brutal L last game, so he's going to come back with a vengeance this next game. So I'm taking him.
Now I just have 3 positions to fill: point guard, shooting guard, center. Gonna go Jaylen Brown, focal point of that Celtics offense right now. Only have 2 game opportunities left here, so I don't need to play him that much this week. I see some favorable matchups with Chicago and San Antonio, maybe defensively. The other team's not so strong. Jaylen Brown's my pick. Then I'm going to go point guard, having a great season, Malcolm Brogdon on the Pacers.
Nice. And for my last 2 picks, I have to fill, as you can see here, a shooting guard and a small forward. And I have already 4 games for both positions. Another thing I wanted to point out, as I mentioned at the beginning of the draft, it is not bad to overdraft at your position. So you can see here at point guard, I'm 8 over 6, which is totally fine. 7 over 6 here, 8 over 6. That just means I'm going to have to go into my lineup screen and make bench players throughout the week. So we'll show you how to do that after this draft's over. But for my next pick, I am going to I already have 1 Clipper, so I'm going to stay away from Paul George. I think I'm going to go Victor Oladipo. He just came back. He's going to be leading the Rockets squad. He's at over 40 fantasy points in the last 2 games. I'm taking Vic as my last shooting guard. And then for my last small forward pick, I can't go away from BI. I think he's just been putting up consistent points all year. So I'm going to ride with Brandon Ingram to round out my small forward position.
I saved my last center pick because Sandy took his earlier in the 6th round. I realized I should be taking the best available player, knowing that he has not the ability to take any more centers. So I saved my center to the last round, and I'm going to take DeAndre Ayton.
Nice. So now that we've completed the draft, that took short, 4 or 5 minutes, and we were kind of going slow with our picks just to explain it to you guys. But you'll see here that in a contest, it will spin up your matchup. So after you draft with your lobby, whether it's a head-to-head or a 4-man, an 8-man, or a 16-man contest, you'll see all the matchups getting randomized, and you'll see who you're facing for that week. Considering this is just a head-to-head contest, it's just Avery and I, so obviously we're going to play each other. And then at the end of the 7 days, the winner gets paid. So in order to go set my lineup now, once you've seen this screen, you're going to go down, you're going to click the matchup button down here. So the matchup button is basically where you see everything you need to know about that contest. You'll see the points they're putting up. You can set your lineup by just clicking this button right here. Just keep in mind, your team will always be on the left side and your opponent will always be on the right. So here's my team, Route of the King. I'm gonna go to my lineup screen, and you can see here, the cool thing is I don't have to click around a bunch of different places to find who's playing when. You can get it all on this screen. So just want to point out here how to bench players. So you look at matchups throughout the week, and you want to pinpoint matchups you think your players aren't going to do as well and bench them for those games. So you can see here from my point guard position, I have 8 out of 6 games, and I'm only allowed to use 6. I'm going to bench. So I'm looking at my matchups here. I don't think Kyrie Irving is going to do well against the Heat on Monday, so I can bench him here. And then I think I'm going to bench Luka against the Nuggets on Monday as well. You'll notice how I was previously 8 over 6, and now my games are at 6 over 6. So I benched 2 guys. Now these 2 games on Monday will not count for Luka and Kyrie, but the other 6 will count. And they're, as you can see here. So anytime a red toggle is selected, that means a player points for that day will not count. And again, you're able to unbench. If I change my mind on Saturday or Sunday, you can do it as long as you do it before that game starts. You're able to make a change pretty quickly there. Same goes for all the other positions. You can notice how the game changes. You can just change 6 out of 6, got 6 out of 6 there. Just bench in here. I only have to bench 1 for small forward, so I'll bench Kawhi against the Heat. Or you know what, I'm gonna bench Brandon Ingram against the Timberwolves here. 7 over 6 for power forwards. I'm gonna bench Zion against the Spurs. And then 8 over 6 for my centers. I'm going to bench Vucevic on a back-to-back here. And then I'm going to bench Embiid the second time against the Pistons. So now you can see all the red toggles. That means the players' points for that day will not count. And now I have lined up all 6 of my games for each position. Again, another strategy that I like to do is sometimes I won't go ahead and bench them right at the start of the contest. I'll examine throughout the week as the days go by, who's playing well, what injuries happen if there is any COVID sit-outs or anything like that, and then I'll make my changes like that. So sometimes it's good to let your players play for a day or two and then make your benching and swaps if you have to. Just another note, you're allowed 2 swaps per week, each team is. So if a guy, say Kyrie's not doing well for his first 2 games, I can easily click the swap button here and then select a player, whether it's Trae Young, D'Angelo Russell, Ben Simmons. I can easily select another player and just click swap down here. One thing, if a player's a red status, so if I go over to Avery's team, Kevin Durant's a red status, Giannis is a red status. He can hit swap button and it's a free swap for anyone with a red status. But if they're a yellow or a green status, it will count towards one of your swaps. So definitely keep that in mind. Overall, you want to check how the contest is going. You can click the bracket button. As I said, it's a head-to-head contest, so it's just Avery and I. But in the bigger contests, our 4-mans, our 8-mans, and 16-mans, you'll see a kind of a March Madness progression, and users will be getting paid out as they win in advance. So that's a cool thing. You don't actually have to win the whole contest to get paid. But in this case, I do, since it's only 1 week long and just head-to-head Avery and I. Abe, I think I covered most of it. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we log off here?
Nothing I got that you didn't cover. It's exciting. It's a fun way to play weekly fantasy sports.
For sure. And just one last thing before we log off, your dashboard is where you'll see all of your contests. So you can see here, I'm in a couple NFL ones, a couple hockey contests, a couple of basketball, and you're able to basically see how you're doing in all your contests right on the screen here. So I definitely would recommend entering a few contests, staying on the dashboard, just checking every single day to make sure you're up to date on all that stuff. And again, if you want to join a private contest, this is what Avery and I just did. You can just hit create contest. But if you want to join a public league across our 3 sports we're offering right now, you can easily click join contest and it will take you right to the public lobby. And you're able to actually set your parameters, choose your sports, number of entrants, how long you want the contest to do, and how much you want to play for. So there's lots of variability and options for users out there if they want to play on a public or private scale. That's all I had today. Avery and I just took you through an NBA contest. Stay tuned. We'll also be doing some more tutorials on how to play and some more strategy content on how to win and make money on our platform. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today. Stay tuned for more videos coming in the future. Good luck out there.